VigilanteWilliamson here with something a little bit different, and it comes from me working on multiple videos with multiple subjects and the realization that they're all about the same subject, and that is that in this post-algorithm echo chambered internet, discourse is completely dead. And one of the main reasons is there is this resistance, and in some cases the outright refusal and inability to accept that someone has a disparate view from you or that disagrees with you without some form of dehumanization for that person that disagrees with you. You hate AEW? Oh, you must be a WWE shill. There's no way you can have an opinion other than mine unless you're a WWE shill. Oh, you like this movie? Oh, well, you must like woke stuff. Clearly you like woke stuff. You're just a raging leftard. Oh, you call things woke? You think there's woke? Well, you're just a Republican. I say Republican and conservative. I'm not gonna lie, but you're just some fucking retarded racist, some bigot, some fascist. By the way, both sides are fascists. I don't know how. Every form of human rule includes fascism because human beings suck. That's another can of worms, another video for another day. But this is the discourse now. There's no way someone can just disagree with you. There's no way someone can have an opinion other than yours unless they're non-human. That is the new thing, and I don't think people realize it. And this isn't really a shock. Anyone who's watched internet, anything over the past 5-10 years has seen it here, has seen it come, maybe participated in it willingly and unwillingly. I know I need to raise my hand for that. And there's this, it's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. This video has been hard for me to even come up with. Like I said, I was working on 3 different videos and realized that the same core of inability for one side to even accept the other side's opinion without some dehumanization being the core issue. Even things where I agree with the person, because they don't accept any validity for the opposing view, they have an incomplete ability to tell their own story. One example, I was working on a video for, and I'm probably not gonna do the whole video, even though I've recorded a lot of it. Common Sense Skeptic, a channel I like, I love, I've used in some of my content, and they're doing a video on Andrew Tate. They're fact-based, and a lot of stuff they say is valid, but I noticed there's a lot of, well, you know, this is misogynistic language, and some of it is, some of it outright is, but there seems to be this like, hey, we're not gonna tell the whole story of how a guy like Andrew Tate got power. We're not gonna explain that there is a feminist agenda that may have influenced a lot of young men that ran to Andrew Tate, even if Andrew Tate is a demon, and you can look it up, and I may even have a little supercut quick just to show all the evidence of him snitching on himself, because there's hours of this stuff.
I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money. That's what I wanted. So Vivian's been with me 6 years. She's completely head over heels in love with me. She wants kids with me, everything. Vivian's like 21. So Vivian's been with me 6 years. Vivian's like 21.
You can still, even with that, see, okay, there are people who went to him for a reason, and not explaining that and just ignoring that is kind of incomplete, telling an incomplete story. Also, there's a lot about how, you know, stupid the lawyer is and how he should be disbarred for a lot of what he's saying. A lot of this video that I'm critiquing, or was going to critique, was a video of Common Sense Skeptic critiquing. That's another thing, the internet eating itself. But Common Sense Skeptic was critiquing the video of Fresh and Fit with one of Andrew Tate's lawyers. And it's like, hey, if this guy doesn't have a fear of being disbarred, maybe there's a reason. There's another context that I think got missed. You know, Andrew Tate clearly has a lot of power because the BBC, one of the biggest media organizations on earth, didn't do as good of a job as you did as far as confronting him with a lot of the stuff he said himself and a lot of evidence that he has out on the internet that he's guilty. And if the BBC didn't do that, you don't wonder why? You don't wonder why you did a better job than the biggest organization or one of the biggest news organizations on earth who don't like him allegedly? Maybe there's something else going on behind the scenes. I get it. Everyone doesn't want to go, Illuminati confirmed. Fair enough. But at least anyone who's paid attention to the justice system, at least in this country, knows that money changes things and that power changes things. So there has to be some knowledge that there could be a power play. My thought was, hey, if in a year Tate gets off and there's no consequence for it, which could happen, even though I think there's a lot of evidence that he shouldn't. He should go to jail probably for the rest of his life. But if he does get off, and then there's a bunch of Tate stands, who most of which won't have a full context of all the information, and they're on your channel like LOL, because I know I got a lot of this when I covered Andrew Tate, LOL, Tate hater, cry a river, you're not going to have any context for why that happened, because you're ignoring the context that he might have some corrupt power, and that's why his lawyer is doing all these things that would otherwise get him disbarred. That's why he's so brazen on the internet. It's because there's some higher power or just his own power that he's gotten and his own influence from the war room. We've covered that on this channel, from a lot of his other stuff. Whatever the case may be, that he has some sort of power, some clout that might get him out of this situation, and that potential is never crossed. That's never thought of. It's just totally erased from the context, and therefore you have an incomplete story. And so that's why I think it's kind of dangerous that, or I don't know if dangerous is the right word, I think we use that too much, but I think that's why it's kind of you can lose the forest from the trees if you don't at least acknowledge viewpoints that maybe you don't like, maybe you don't agree with. And then I brought up, listen, I'm not going to get into the fucking red pill versus feminism madness. I've dipped my toe into it a couple times and it's always, acid. But you got to at least understand, hey, there is an extreme feminist agenda. Hell, another video didn't know what woke meant. And hey, woke means cultural Marxism. Cultural Marxism is the belief that there are inequalities based upon different demographic markers, which there definitely are, and the want to correct them in reverse in a sort of way. And I'm maybe not having the Webster's best definition of that, but that's to the best of my extent. And I say all that because there is some agenda. Honestly, I'm of the opinion there's agendas for every group, and there's counter agendas because there's a greater agenda for division. And unfortunately, I'm more right than I would like to be. But there are feminist agendas, there are racial agendas, there are gender-based agendas. A lot of times in multiple directions. It's not just, hey, let's build this one gender or race or whatever up. It's also have opposing forces again, push and pull, division. Everyone hates each other. No one can see middle ground. I think a lot of this is obviously internet-based and was going to happen anyway, but I think a lot of it is also post-pandemic, and I always use the term pandemic. That itself may be something that triggers someone, oh, you must be an anti-vaxxer, this, that, and the third. That can of worms is just for another day. We're going over can of worms, but we still got to get through the video. Something about the isolation that the pandemic caused everyone, and that more people use the internet more than ever, and a lot of people found subcultures and subgroups. I did. That's how VigilanteWilliamson in many ways came to be. I think a lot of people had a pack-like, a familial-like view of their viewpoints. Their viewpoints became a connecting for, I would argue, a cult-like thing. And again, I'm as guilty as anyone else. I'm not just saying you stupid, me smart. No. I'm just as guilty, if not more, than anyone else. But there's definitely this new the echo chambering of everything, and that's how we lead to people not being able to understand each other at a fundamental level, because it's that people don't want to fathom that people disagree with them and are still human. That's why you must be a MAGA, you must be a leftist, you must be a this. That's why you think that. There's no way you can be a normal human being worthy of respect and have the opinion that isn't mine. That is my issue. That is my core issue. And I remember being, I don't even know if I want to call it the fandom, whatever you want to call the group that I was sort of a part of, and I guess still am, because it just keep calling me back. There would be some times where they just dehumanize leftists, and I'm like, no, you're going too far. You went a step too far. Just because you disagree with them doesn't mean that these people, they don't listen anymore. Are you sure? Are you sure you didn't take the worst case scenario version of whatever that group that opposes you because it's us versus them over and over again? Shout out to LCD Sound System. Are you sure you didn't take the worst case scenario version of that person and put it out there like that is the standard version of that person? Because like everything, there's a spectrum. There are people who slightly disagree with you. There are people who agree with you on some things and not others. And there are people who are totally disparate in agreement, but all of them are humans. All of them are people who have, life experiences to lead them to whatever beliefs that they have. And they all need to be respected. I'm just the dude making a video that's probably gonna get 5 views. So I have no idea how to change this, especially because so much of it is algorithmic. Ironically enough, one of the videos kind of explained the mechanism of clicking on a video and then you like it and then you get more videos like it and then you get into a subculture based upon that, and all of a sudden, because you watch so many videos of the subculture kind of takes over you, and then you sort of let things go that you maybe otherwise wouldn't have, or have views that you maybe otherwise wouldn't. There is a self-radicalization factor to the internet. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the cannibalization factor. Now, we went from there's woke material, and now there's people who are anti-woke, and now there's people who are anti-woke who spend all their time criticizing people who criticize woke material. It's like just eat itself. And that's another thing. Money. The answer to all your question is money. Now people can make money off of this content, off polarized content. So on top of the natural human thing, we all were isolated. We all got inundated with incredible stimuli outside of anyone's imagination over the past few years. And then people were able to make money off of this. And it's like, you don't need, as much as I'm a conspiracy theorist, you don't need some weirdos in white robes, behind this. You don't need the Illuminati. You just need an algorithm, and these civilized people will eat each other. And so now we have no ability for internet discourse. If two people have a stream together and they have opposing views, what do? They debate. They don't discuss, they debate. And you can be better at debating and still be wrong and win people over just because you're better at debating than someone who may have the right idea, or there may be good ideas on both sides and maybe some synergistic thing that can be done, but because the energy is antagonistic, because the energy is debating, I want to win, that never happens. So I'm rambling at this point. I could go on and on. I don't know what the solution is. I guess the only thing I can think of is, let me point it out. Let me point out that, hey, there is an issue with internet discourse, and let me just say my piece, and let me try to do the best that I can with my content to be as fair and as balanced and open for discussion. I don't mind people who disagree with me. I need people who disagree with me. You might have a valid point. You might have a point that I'm like, okay, you know what? I got to sit back and understand that and comprehend that. And I need to account for that, when I think about things. And we all have to understand, life is kind of messy and not simple, and not simple black and white answers for everything. But what do you think? If you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, please do that. And even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night and God bless. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.